On November 13, 2023, Julie, a concerned woman, reached out to a team of paranormal investigators. Her mother had been living in a house that the family believed was haunted.
History with paranormal.
This house had a notorious history. Previous owners had repeatedly fled due to unexplained activities, but Julie and her mother were determined to uncover the truth and communicate with whatever entity was dwelling there.
All the previous owners moved due to the activity. The same activity her mom is dealing with.
Julie and her mother had been experiencing disturbances for as long as they could remember.
Julie, it's been getting really scary. Scary to a point it's frightening.
Recently, the incidents had escalated, becoming more terrifying and persistent. They reported hearing the sound of chairs being dragged across the floor, but when they went to investigate, there was never anything out of place.
And the noises you can hear, like the chairs pulling in and out, the cupboards opening and closing, and when we come downstairs, there's nothing.
We're here. Somebody told me, which is true, that there's one woman and two men.
The investigators, after gathering all necessary information from Julie and her mother, embarked on their mission to locate the paranormal hotspots in the house. They meticulously set up their equipment and prepared for a thorough exploration.
My mom will hear people talking over in this corner, like the man and woman. For some reason, we know there's two men and a woman here. Basement is creepy. You can feel ice.
The noises weren't the only disturbances. Julie and her family had also seen figures moving in and around the house.
One time she came home from work, and she came around the corner, and there was a big shadow person standing by the bush out front.
These apparitions contributed to their growing fear and sense of urgency. They were particularly unnerved by the certainty that there were multiple spirits residing in the house. For years, Julie's claims had been dismissed, but now, with the disturbances escalating and witnessed by others, she was seeking answers and validation.
Heard voices, like a man and a woman talking from that closet, that the man totally ripped apart.
The team began their investigation, determined to uncover the truth. Initially, they ventured into each room, attempting to communicate with the spirits.
We really would like to know why they're here, why are they doing this to us, and why don't they leave?
If there's something down here with us that would like to communicate, please feel free.
Despite their efforts, no signs of paranormal activity were detected. It seemed that the entities were either uninterested in communicating or were avoiding the investigators. This lack of response led the team to employ a more immersive technique, the Estes method.
A pretty quiet walkthrough. Let's go ahead and do something a little bit more in depth.
The Estes method involved the woman sitting alone in one of the rooms, blindfolded and wearing noise-canceling headphones. She relayed anything she could hear or sense, acting as a conduit for potential spirit communication. The atmosphere grew tense as the team waited for any signs of the supernatural.
To communicate.
As the session progressed, things took a terrifying turn. The spirit, which had remained elusive, finally made contact.
Scared?
The revelations were chilling. It admitted to pushing Julie down the stairs when she was a child. The spirit, a coal miner who had died on the property many years ago, was harboring unresolved anger and a desire to communicate his story. Next up, the team decided to switch roles. The man now took a seat in the room while the woman attempted to establish further communication. Their goal was to gather more details about the spirit's past and its connection to the house. Through these sessions, the investigators pieced together a narrative of suffering and tragedy. The spirit revealed fragmented memories of his life as a coal miner and the injustices he faced. While the information remained somewhat cryptic, it provided valuable context for the haunting. Armed with this newfound knowledge, the team transitioned to a ghost tube session. This session aimed to further unravel the mysteries surrounding the spirits in the house. The ghost tube, a device designed to detect and interpret paranormal energy, added a layer of technology to their investigation.
I have a daughter.
Next up, they attempted to summon the spirit upstairs. Unfortunately, this effort yielded no results. Undeterred, they proceeded to take photographs, hoping to capture visual evidence of any entities present. Despite their efforts, no figures appeared in the images.
Move your hands again.
Next, they set up a REM pod, a device that detects changes in electromagnetic fields. They used it to call out the spirit one final time. After an extended period of investigation, the team concluded that the spirits might have a personal vendetta against the current residents, and they would have to be firm with the spirits and ask them to move on. On October 15th, 2023, a couple reached out to a team of paranormal investigators with a desperate plea for help. They had been experiencing unsettling paranormal activities in their home and were at their wits' end. The house, originally intended as a vacation home, had no known history of hauntings. At least, that's what the homeowners believed. The disturbances began almost immediately after they moved in, starting with strange, pervasive smells that seemed to come from nowhere and lingered throughout the house.
Probably when windows are...
The couple described a series of bizarre occurrences: doors opening and closing on their own, doorknobs rattling, disembodied voices, and footsteps echoing up and down the stairs. These phenomena quickly turned their dream home into a nightmare.
And we'll hear the doorknobs move, especially the ones upstairs. And sometimes you'll actually hear the doors move back and forth. And I've heard footsteps on the stairs. Last time I thought it was pastor's room.
A particularly unnerving incident involved the sound of a child's footsteps. When they went to investigate, they found small footprints imprinted on a velvet blanket. The discovery was both baffling and terrifying, leaving them more convinced than ever that their home was haunted.
What appeared to be, I think, impressions of little kid feet. That velvet, it looks like that velvet blanket there looks like little feet.
Little kids.
Equipped with this background, the paranormal investigators team began their investigation. They were determined to uncover the source of these disturbances and provide the couple with some much-needed answers.
I know that they had told...
The team kicked off the investigation with an epic session. They used a device connected to a ghost tube to ask simple yes or no questions, hoping to receive direct responses from the spirits.
with us.
Initial attempts at communication were promising, but not particularly revealing. The ghost tube registered some activity, but the responses were sparse. The team then suggested the entity speak directly into the device to provide more substantial answers. Despite their efforts, the communication soon dwindled. They decided to shift tactics and initiated an Estes session. This involved a team member sitting with blindfolds and headphones on, listening intently, hoping that the spirits would communicate.
Yes.
The Estes session took an intriguing turn. In one of the rooms, there was a notable increase in activity. They decided to focus their efforts on this room, setting up cameras and rolling footage in hopes of capturing something definitive. As they continued, something strange happened. The team asked the spirit if it was comfortable with men being in the room. The response they received was immediate and unsettling.
Just the guy.
The ghost tube indicated a strong reaction, suggesting that the spirit had a clear preference. This insight led them to their next step, another ghost tube session. The results were disturbing. As the session progressed, the man began experiencing odd and unsettling thoughts. The images and sensations he described were deeply eerie, painting a picture of a tormented spirit possibly connected to the house's history.
This is actually...
The thing about that is...
The images he saw started to coalesce into a theme. It seemed to involve a pastor, and the thoughts became increasingly religious and dark. This alignment with the house's unexplored history added a layer of complexity to their investigation.
Death.
Is there a reason for that?
The narrative took a theological turn, with thoughts and images hinting at encounters with the divine, death, and judgment. The man's descriptions grew more coherent, fitting into a story of spiritual conflict and unresolved trauma. A particularly disturbing image emerged, stranger than any they had encountered up to that point. The team sensed that the spirit, or whatever was in the house, was exhausted from the continuous probing. The images grew darker and more vivid, featuring a mysterious man.
Creep.
After the session, they decided to stop and let Connor recover. They set up cameras throughout the house and settled in for the night, hoping to capture any nocturnal activity. However, the footage from the 7-hour vigil showed nothing unusual. The following morning, they made a startling discovery: large handprints on the sheets. These prints did not match anyone from the team or the homeowners. This revelation left them with more questions than answers and concluded the investigation on a puzzling note. The source of the handprints remained a mystery. The investigation had provided glimpses into the haunting, but failed to deliver a conclusive understanding. The team left the house with a sense of unfinished business and a series of unanswered questions.